Hello, everyone. Happy Father's Day, guys. I hope that you having a good day or maybe good memories if your dad isn't around. I just feel that uh, it has to be a special tribute for the fathers and role models and um, all the dads and coaches and mentors because I feel that sometimes men aren't recognized enough, and you don't always have to be a biological father to be a mentor and to be a role model. Hello, Dave. Happy Father's Day to you. Great to see you. Great to see you, Dave. You are a great dad, and I hope that you know it deep inside. Guys, I was thinking today that there are few things are more important than the self realization and inner celebration of those things that you truly know with your heart. You don't need anybody's pat on the back, you don't need anybody's reassurance with those things that you had done from your heart. And in this case, I mean, that is being, wow, this chair is old. Just a minute, guys, trying to get more comfortable. So, in this case, I mean, when you were dedicated dad, you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. And I know that all of us parents are very vulnerable because we always wonder how could have we done things better, or we are warning about our mistakes. But the main thing that you know inside of you how much love and care and dedication you have in your heart for your children, sometimes that your stepchildren, sometimes that just somebody on the street that you talk to, being a mentor, maybe you are a teacher, a coach, maybe you a role model in your family and you don't even have children. I feel that all of us, we should always watch for our behavior and what we bring into the world, because somebody might be looking without us even knowing or realizing. There might be some child that finds something about you and looking up to you, and you don't even realize that. So we are always teaching something somebody, but we're not always aware. And if that's a negative behavior, that is also recording, it's also recording somewhere there. So I just want to tell you guys, I hope that some of you had a chance to maybe talk on the phone with your children, maybe you had a chance to see them, maybe not, maybe you do not have biological children, but you are a role model and you're a mentor for somebody. Maybe you had a point in your life when you did that. Maybe you have a dad of your own and you were able to see him today. For a lot of you, you no longer, many people who watch my channel don't have parents alive anymore, so that doesn't mean that. Oh my gosh, it's been on and off. I'm sorry, guys. Something going on with my iPad. It's actually restarts for no good reason. So, like in the middle of I'm doing something, it started restarting itself. So that's not good. But anyways, guys, I just want to tell you that sometimes you're gonna have moments when you're not gonna get recognition, you're not gonna get acknowledgement for the people you've done the most, for the people you've loved the most. And I really see this pattern very often with parents of young adults, with parents of teenagers. um, Sometimes you're not gonna get recognition from the person you raised your children with, from your child themselves. You sometimes not going to see that, but it's not always about getting recognition from others. What I'm learning, really, I think, powerful skill, and it's not so easy to learn and adjust to it. Something called self validation. You know, when you know in your heart, you put your heart to what you do. When you know it, nobody can take it away from you. You don't need to prove anything to anybody. And the only thing that you should do and enjoy is just the inner celebration of the moments you had, the memories you made, and even more so the heart and soul you put to raising your children every day. Or once again, it's not only about being a biological parent, it's not only about um, raising your own kids, but whatever impact you had done, oh my gosh, I think it's gonna restart again, guys. I don't know what it is. I really felt today that I want to make a life for you and um, talk about these things. I don't know if the first part had disappeared. I don't know, but I'm here, guys, with my heart. I just want to show my respect to all the male all the men who are encouraging and helping young ones. So just a minute. Hello, Bernard. Hey, Mark. Okay, David is saying something and I'll try to read it. David says, hello, Veronica. The lack of respect directed at Western men is taught and promoted by Western women. Let's see. On a large part, also, some men are not good husbands or good fathers. I wanna. Hello, Tracy. I would like to make a remark here on fatherhood. Hello, Mark. I have 3 marks and counting. I would like to say yes, of course. There are fathers that don't play their role, and there are fathers that just, for this or other reasons, they are not present. But I would focus on those who are, and this is a day when we should focus on those who are. And if we talk about demographics, and if we just do the very average, then I can tell you, once again, I'm generalizing, and also just looking at the very average, at least what I had seen, and I can tell you that overall, Americans are a lot more involved with the children at the young age. This is the main difference, and in Ukraine and Russia it's actually has been changing, and husbands are starting to help with the very young children, basically infants and newborns, which is, it is naturally a woman, like a woman instinct, it is true, but nevertheless is extremely difficult physically and mentally. So with American men, I think, just because of the progress and things like that, I can tell that, because I had a child and I was observing how everybody else is doing, and I saw that it's okay for American dads, to do the early baby stuff, which is not fun. It's not even fun when you are a loving mother. I don't think I need to go through the details, but I think you understand what I'm talking about. There is a lot of stuff, and like any project you start, the first time you start it, you're excited about it, you love it, but you don't get much benefits. So sometimes you stay up all night, sometimes you had to do the diapers thing, the feeding thing. And what I really respect about American dads is that a lot of them are involved early on. And I really think it's priceless, because you do build, the child won't remember it, but in his conscious mind, but in his subconscious, he always will, because that connection, that trust built early it means a lot. It's somewhere there, guys. I do believe that our subconscious mind remembers everything. So that's why we have certain attitude about things. Certain things bring us happiness, certain things trigger us for sadness. That's the spiritual part, but the practical part, I think women love and appreciate, uh, at least Ukrainian women would love and appreciate men who gives them some time to rest mentally and physically. And that early support means a lot, because we feel very vulnerable without, we are a mess. We are basically a machine, that's taking care of a kid, together with excitement. It's a lot of work. And just a comparison, that American dads getting involved a lot earlier, basically since birth. Basically, a lot of them are present at the birth. And with Ukrainian culture, that was totally like in Soviet time. They would never let men not only in the birth room but anywhere close. And I really think it's not fair, and it's depriving. If a dad want to see the birth of his son or daughter, he has a total right. Not to mention that it's a tremendous support for the wife, because it's, well, extremely painful emotionally and physically. And having there the person you love, that support, there is nothing like that. There is nothing like that, but by having your loved one with you. And I did have that experience. And uh, that is going to a treasure box of happy memories, for what I experienced. That was pretty amazing. In the Soviet time, though, I don't know if that would work, because the I decided to tell you guys a little bit more about stuff that I know about Soviet era, or my mom went through. Well, with that whole birth, it's basically like for a guy to go through the war. So I don't know if that would be the best idea for the men to see that, because the medical care was horrific. And the way they treated women at the birth house, it's almost like you have to pay for all the pleasures. Like if you had love and passion with your husband and you're about to have a child, it's almost like they want you to pay and suffer as much as possible. And it's medical care, the medical care people, and the whole system really was awful. It could be like, I don't know, it just was against human. But today, guys, is about men. So I'm gonna, maybe I'll make another video about, having experiences. If you guys planning to have kids, you know, should you have a child here or in Ukraine, because it's significantly cheaper. Maybe I'll have it as a separate video, because I don't want to go into that horror movies thing. But nevertheless, there is nothing like a support of the person you love when you going through something as life changing as a new family member and birth. So yeah, I like that about American men, that they don't think that it like somehow um brings them down, or it's like you're less than masculine, or it's like your pride, and you can't help your wife as a newborn. I absolutely think it's awesome. And after time pass, you realize you can never take that time back. And this is a time when Ukrainian women would absorb you, and if you are the one that's giving a hand and helping out, that means gold. Because as I want to say that you feel very vulnerable in that moment. So that's my respect to you guys. And of course, a lot of you having, if you have children, they are usually grown up, because I have a lot of people who are watching my channel who are dads, and their children are adults. But it doesn't matter, you always your impact stays with your child for their whole life. They always looking up to you. So if you have somebody who appreciates you, you might not need that message so much today. But if you have, maybe you just went through a divorce, maybe your children go through tough times, and they are teenagers or young adults, and they are all over the place, and you feel hurt because they maybe don't call you, or maybe even don't acknowledge you. Remember that they might have their issues and things going on, but whatever you've done for them, whatever wonderful things you've done for them, experiences, just guys, I really think that wonderful things sometimes it's just being home, bringing the food, making it, having a roof over your head is something that we take for granted. But when your children are growing up a little bit, um, and they have their own family, a lot of them will look at you differently. So sometimes you just need to have a little bit more patience, you know. But don't ever think that somebody can just erase, 15, 20, 30 years of love. Nobody can do that. And I know I have a lot of clients and people that I talk to. I know some of you going through the difficult times, and you afraid that, you feel like your whole life is upside down because you went through hard times, and you're afraid that your children will forget you. No, they will never forget you. They will never forget you, and they will never forget the good things you've done for them. They just not conscious about it sometimes, but when they start having their own children, expect to get some phone calls. Unfortunately, uh, the selfishness is very much encouraged, and this is a result of it. Some of the kids getting a lot of things, but they're not getting, they don't get a lesson of appreciation. And we all learn on our own experiences, and just pat yourself on the back. You know what you did, you know how hard you worked. You worked, you did it because you loved them, you cared for them, and you did your best. You didn't have to be perfect, nobody is, but you did your best. And if you're a mentor, if you are a coach, if you are, if you played a role in the life of a child, you are celebrated. And I just want you to know that. I just really want to reach out to everybody, because um, I love that US has a Father's Day. There is no Father's Day as I know of in Russia or Ukraine, but I hope that they will have it, because fathers deserve recognition. And please remember today your father and great things he done for you, and stuff that you did. Or maybe if he wasn't such a great father, maybe you learned something. Maybe you learned how to stand for yourself. Maybe you've learned how to be strong. Maybe you've learned how to be a man that take care of things. I really believe there is always two sides to everything, and that's what I would like to bring up today. Man, I'm having an antique chair. So let's see who's in the chat. To see if you have super hot day. My air conditioner is like super low, and I can't even talk. Whew. Let's see what's going on. It always helps to have a good role model as your father, so you can become a good role model for your son. I agree, Dave. Just not everybody blessed with it, but if you are, that's a blessing. Yeah, Bill is saying, thanks for mentioning healthcare system in Ukraine. I had never really thought about that and possibilities. Yes, guys, I will make a separate video about childbirth experience, Ukraine vs, versus US, because I've been through that, and I had pretty incredible experiences, and I would like to share, because at the same time, my friends in Ukraine had children and they sent me their stories, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm not there. So I really want to share that if you kind of thinking maybe you can save, if your insurance doesn't cover, you can really, I will put my heart to it, because that is a literally question of life and death. Meanwhile, I want to say my huge eternal thank you to the times that when I was going through that, which is like 9.5 years now. And that was an incredible experience I've always dreamed about. And I will be forever grateful to United States uh, hospital here in Lansing. It was outstanding. And to my husband's insurance at that time. And it was dream come true. So everything was great, and it was one of the best moments in my life. So I will make a separate video, guys. I really want to keep this about the fathers today. And so I want to share you a little bit of things that I remember from childhood, and just in general how Soviet parents were. How, by Soviet I mean the Soviet time. So, and each time I say Ukrainian or Russian, remember, guys, we are all children of that era, so we are different. It's not just Ukrainian, like folk Ukrainian, or it's like an expression of Soviet Ukrainian, Soviet Russian. We basically, it was a different culture, and I just want to cover on this a little bit today. So one of the things with our fathers in Soviet time, well, in very late Soviet time for me, but still people didn't just change, in 1 second because the government had changed. So that's been going on, and it's still going on. So overall, they were very conservative and very demanding, and basically a lot of times the most of work was on a woman's shoulder. It would really take a especially good father that maybe was like really loving, or he had a good example. Generally, like a lot of things were on women's shoulders, including the career and children and home. So that was a whole system. With dads, if you were lucky, your dad would be the one that, of course, works. But back then, everybody was working. You would be lucky if he wasn't drinking. And you would be lucky if he could teach you some skills and mentor you. Usually, fathers would get involved later on when the child can at least speak, and grow. And they would kind of involve him in things that their father was into. So that's nice. Of course, because as I said earlier, usually dads were not that much involved in early childhood. So, but one thing that was missing so much in our Soviet childhood, it was the lack of love. The lack of, not the lack of love itself, but the lack of showing love. The lack of showing love and affection. I could probably beat the record on this one. Even I need to ask my friends if their parents ever told them that they love them, like directly. Like my dad, I think I mentioned that before. I don't think he ever told me that he loves me, like this way, into my face. He would say this sometimes like my beloved or something, and it would be like a holiday. Oh, Tanya is here to back me up. Tanya, привет. Tanya, did your parents told you that I love you? Like, is it just me? Because I don't think my dad ever. Not that I don't think, I know he never told me that. Um, I think it's kind of cultural thing, and it's not that they did not love us. It's just you were not showing your feelings to your children. And that's what I like about American culture that a lot of times, like I do this every day, and my son does this every day. We tell each other that we love each other, and it's not just like, a formality. Both of us, when we say it, even if it's every day, we always mean it. Like we always mean it, and I love this, and I enjoy every single bit of that. Okay, Tanya is saying that not directly no, and no public affection. Well, then we about close. Same here. With my dad, he was not much hugs and kisses. Yeah. With my mom, not much hug and kisses too, but with my dad, my dad was somewhat affectionate. But I don't know. It's like finishing military school. Nobody really. What about praise? Okay, I have Tanya today as my backup, guys. Tanya, what about praise? Did your dad praised you? I think my dad praised me twice in my entire life. Mm-hmm. Okay, Tanya is saying that basically mom was involved in things, and dad was, yeah, like no praising. Okay, let's see. Mark is saying, gosh, these messages, they're going so fast, it's not even funny. My dad had to pull the car over and delivered me in the back seat of the car on the way to hospital. Oh my gosh, wow. Mark, I hope you, I don't know if your dad is around, if he's here or not, but your dad is a hero. Hello, Anthony, you're very welcome. Wow, Mark, your dad is literally a hero. So I want to tell you a funny story, guys. Something you maybe will make you laugh, and I hope it will be funny. It was not funny for me back then. So I was a child. That's what I remember about my dad the most, and I'm so happy it's over. So so back in Soviet time, we actually played with kids, like real people, real kids would play with real kids, right? We didn't have the devices, and we would just all play in the yard. Most people in the city lived in a five-story buildings. It's called Khrushchevka, which is Khrushchev time buildings. They're very ugly, and they're five stories. And our parents, they didn't worry about babysitters. They just throw us outside in the playground, and we would just play all day, and it was a very happy time, I have to say. Playing around was fun. We didn't have very much to play with, we didn't have all these fancy toys, but we had each other, and we had plenty of fun. But what my dad would do sometimes, so my dad is very much into education, studying, learning, and things like that. So what he would do to me is like he would show up in the middle of the game, and I was extremely, like all the kids, right? You live in the game, we would play all kinds of things. He would pull me out from the circle of friends, sit me aside on a bench, have some mathematics, Russian dictation, spelling, then later on algebra, and he would just pull me out when everybody is playing. Like he couldn't find a better time to do that, and he would just. And I remember that I just wanted to die. I remember I was so. I just, it was so tragic for me, and I was just, I understand now his motive, that he wanted me to be educated, he wanted me to know more than average and to be smart and have deep knowledge. But I just wonder why he had to do that when I was in the middle of the game. Like, why it couldn't be sometime like in the evening or in the morning? I probably will never know this question, the answer. But I remember that, and it's still like I wanna cry, like when I still think about it. But this is one of my strongest memories of my childhood. That my dad wanted to make a nerd out of me, and I can tell you that it probably did work, because I did have a lot of interest, and I did study very into depths things. But at that moment, I hated him with all my heart, like a child, you know. And I was just wondering, why can't I have a normal dad? Like, why all dads let their kids play, and my dad make me suffer? But then I had a friend who was, actually it was she, and her dad was in jail most of the time, which was very unusual for our environment. And he also was in jail for drugs, which was even more unusual. It was like having a plug. I mean, that was, so she's my best friend from childhood. We know each other since we were 6. And in Soviet time, you know, having a dad who is into drugs, it was, I mean, we didn't know that even exists. And we were living in the same building, and most of her childhood he was gone, and her mom was an alcoholic. And she told me years later, she told me, you know, I saw you suffering with you know, your dad's demands and requirements, but you know, I wish my dad would do that. And it made me think for a minute, because she struggled in school and she would get the worst grades, and she was so poor because they didn't have support and all, you know, just a very tough life. And then the judgment from the community, if you guys understand, it's a community based society. And I was always supporting her and helping her with grades and things like that. But when she told me that, I saw that was profound. So she would change any time her dad for my dad and get the knowledge. So that with time made me really appreciate my dad. And I understand maybe it was not the perfect thing of executing that idea, but I understand now much better the idea and um, what was behind it. So I do appreciate my dad for the hard stuff he made me to go through. That wasn't the only thing, but I don't want to just make a life about that. There were many other very challenging things, but I think because I went through that early on, it, you know, when you do hard things early, it helps you with life later. So, and also we need to always remember what is the purpose of something. Yes, once again, the delivery might not be perfect, but what's the idea behind it? Maybe there is a beautiful idea behind that, and it was. So if you guys are looking at, you know, your childhood, and maybe your dad wasn't, you know, maybe he wasn't there, maybe he was an alcoholic, maybe he was involved and was an awesome dad, you know, there is still lesson to be learned. There is still lesson to be learned. I really believe you are blessed if you have a loving dad. If you don't, if you have hardship, you're also blessed, just in a different way, because you can learn so much um, through through the difficult times, you know, through the adversities. So let me guys see what you're saying. Tanya says, my fondest memory was my dad playing with the snow with me and sledding. Yeah, sledding was so fun. I love sledding and being out. Shin says, love your videos. Thank you so much, Shin. And oops, what did I just do? Tanya is saying, absolutely, we always knew that we were loved. You know, we were with my dad, I knew I was loved, but you know, with my mom, sometimes I really doubt it. I really wish that in Soviet time people would have more expressions of love. So now, when I'm a parent myself, I do it the way I want it. And as I know there is a fine line between loving and spoiling, but I totally believe that there is never too much love. And I think it takes some bravery and courage to be genuine and express your love every day. And I want to you guys to encourage you to do that. I love doing that and I live for it. It gets me up in the morning. And I don't know, despite of the way I grew up, I love expressing love. And I think it's one of the most amazing things. I don't know, I just don't want to miss a moment. What do you guys think about that? Question to you all: do you think that people should be kind of just loving somebody inside and never express it, or should we express love each time we can and every day and mean it? What do you guys think about it? I don't like the spoiling thing, but love has nothing to do with spoiling. Spoiling is when you encourage the lazy behavior, when you encourage disrespect, when you fill kids with things that ruin them. And love is when you give them the main, when you give them the connection, when they know you believe in them, when you give them affection, when they know you're the first one to support them, when you're the best friend. They know that you got their back. And I think when kids are growing up, they look at the parent, in this case we're talking about dad, and they form their vision of the world based on their dad. Especially with boys, it's kind of the sex identification, the same sex thing. With the girls, a good dad is role of a future husband. And very few girls that had a good dad, a loving dad, a caring dad, would let a man in their life to abuse them, because it would not feel good. When you used to be treated well and loved and cuddled, um, like emotionally and physically, you don't seek for approval. You have your confidence, and you would not let somebody treat you badly. So that's what I would like to say. So guys, some of you who raise daughters, I know you did a good job. You did all you could, and they will always look for men that have your qualities. They would be always looking for somebody who can be like you, because you set a standard. And so I respect awesome dads that are awesome to their daughters. So meanwhile, let's see what you guys are answering for my question. David Harris is saying, my dad was tougher than any drill or officer I was exposed to in the army, but he taught you, let's see, but he taught you a lot. Yeah, that is true. We learn a lot through adversity. Yeah, that was it's Tanya's comments that our parents sometimes went through really tough times. Have a nice evening, Tanya. Okay, the answers are express it, be more expressive, but not maybe every minute. Yeah, I understand that. Nothing wrong with letting your loved ones know that they are loved. I must admit, I'm guilty of not saying that to my family as much as I should. Well, you know what? Maybe you should take a, guys, you have no idea what it means when you are kind of this way, and then you find a moment and you connect with, maybe it's your daughter or your son or your sister or your wife, whoever that is. um, when you actually take a moment and you take a bravery and courage, because it's not that easy, and you tell them that you love them, and you tell them something, how you feel about them, you have no idea. As a child, if I would take the child role right now, I can tell you that we need to hear that sometimes. And we take for granted things, and we think often that people know that we love them, but it's our opinion, we might be wrong. And kids and young adults are doubting themselves a lot. So, and regardless, express your love, take some courage. And if you think you don't do it often enough, do it. You don't have to do it now, every second, but find a moment and just tell them that. You can enrich their life. It feels more connected to you, and also when they are in relationships, they will be a better person, a better supporter. So Chris is saying lots of affection and proportional punishment discipline. Yeah. Hey, the monk. Yeah, we were big. They were big on punishment in Soviet time. There were lots of punishment. At least in my. Oh my gosh! I don't. Again, I don't even want to talk about this. Let me tell you that our parents definitely disciplined us. Let's put it like that. We were definitely disciplined. If you know what I'm saying. So, well, that's a little blast from the past. Um overall it was okay. uh, People were trying to work on their marriages, because the divorces were very not welcome back in time. It was a community thing, the judgment and all that. So basically a lot of things were on mothers. Just the majority, I would say 80-90% of mothers were just doing a lot of things. But the dads were connecting with children and influencing them like a little bit later on in life. I mean, not later on in childhood. And they were more of the quality time thing. So they would spend some time with the child and maybe teach them something. But it would also depend on the family, because I remember in our building there was one family where the dad was actually cooking dinner and helping cleaning. And he was one of my favorite people. He was pretty awesome. They had a good family. And that was very inspiring. I thought that was pretty cool that they had support. But overall, most of dads were involved in work. Like my dad was a scientist kind of thing. So he was it was funny. He would tell me this phrase. I did so many, no, like I spend all the time I could with you, being 24/7 at work. And I was like, hmm. But my dad taught me that my dad was the one that would get up at 5 a.m. early. And the more times goes on, and the things and beliefs he told me, and the more times goes on, I'm becoming his copy, his absolute copy, in the way, like what I want to do with life, and how I see things and what I want to achieve. I'm just becoming a twin of my dad. Things that I hated about him, I'm doing right now. So it's interesting how this all works. My dad was really involved. He had a lot of passion about his work. He was an engineer, a scientist, and a PhD. So he made some innovations and things like that. So just a minute, guys. All right, so let me read. Okay, Mark is saying punishment sometimes is necessary, but not through striking the child. That's good. I'm glad you're gonna give it a shot and be more involved. Um, Shin says, my father never really showed much love, but he was always working. Well, that's kind of set you an example. If he was always working, um, that it's an example for you to do things. And you know, to kind of showing what the man's role in a way is, you know. Okay, man, this guys, I don't know what it is, but the messages are going so fast. Yeah, so I hear some feedback for some good childhoods and good memories. It's amazing how smart your dad is the older you get. Yeah, exactly. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, there is definitely scarcity sometimes. You know, sometimes dad is just like, I'm gonna tell dad, is like this scary person. I can see what Shane is saying. Helena is saying, growing up in Poland, all men worked until they're dead, until they were dead. Yeah, I can relate to that. Some of our, I mean, a lot of our men, they were all hardworking. This is very true. And let's see, Billy said, I think the parents' upbringing has a lot to do with how they parent. Yes, but guys, today let's just, give thanks to those people who raised us. We should always remember they did the best they possibly could, right? And let's make sure that we just doing our best. We don't need to strive to be perfect. We don't need to beat ourselves up, whether you're mom or dad. But I think this thing that children need the most is not the stuff, it's not the, all these things we're so hard trying to work for, but it's our support, our belief, our love, that's in the air. So you don't always, I agree, sometimes you don't need to talk about it, you can feel it, but I think both things are good in a, in a good proportion. So basically, I believe that good experience and bad experience can both lead to a happy life if you learn from them, if you accept them for what they are, and you just do your best. I also find healing when maybe you did not have the best childhood, but you are making someone's childhood. Maybe it's a kid across the street. Maybe it's somebody in your family. Maybe you have a stepson or stepdaughter, or maybe you're a coach and you have many, many, many kids. Whatever you do, you can always make an impact. And when you think nobody is watching, they are. And you have no idea how many kids could learn and from you without you even trying to teach them. So that happens a lot too. And I just want to acknowledge you all and tell you that, um, we like when you protect us, when you look out for us. And very often, Ukrainian women have somewhat, they want their husband. One of the reasons why some Ukrainian women are open to marriage when the husband is older is because they want to feel some protection as how they felt in their childhood when their father was a positive role model, or maybe he wasn't, and so they want that extra protection. It's not a bad thing as long as they love you as a man too. But a lot of women relying on men's wisdom, experience, and support, and that is one of the reasons they feel sense of security and protection with older men. And that is, some women, it's certain percentage, I could not tell you what it is. Everybody is very different. And yeah, maturity is important. Unfortunately, I mean, it's not always come with age, but sometimes it does. So anyways, the Ukrainian women expect you to be the wise one, the more knowledgeable one, the strong one. And I really believe that men can take pride in it, because it's nice to know that you're valued, you are important, you are seen, you are loved, you are needed, and there is a place for you. So there is always a place for you. and Ukrainian women want you to be the leader. And if you are entering the family where there is already a child, and maybe you plan to have more or not, Ukrainian women would always look how you are. If you have children, how you with them. If you don't, how you are with her child. And then after a while, it's not just her child, but it's, it's you both are in it. So you can't underestimate the role of a father. I respect fathers and men who play in that role. I respect them from the bottom of my heart, and I want to tell you guys thank you for um, protecting, guiding, providing, leading, still doing it even if when you're not recognized, and start to give yourself the inner praise, the inner celebration of what you do, and just enjoy it. No matter how things are hard or easy, when you enjoy what you do, you don't really suffer from you do not really, it's not that difficult. It makes things so much easier. Even when you go through hard times, but you have a purpose, you know why you do it, it makes things a lot easier. And you why you're doing it, and what and what you do. So it gives you more strength even through hard times. But when your heart is full of love, it does give you strength and purpose. And once again, sometimes the reasons why you're doing well in life is because you have a strong purpose and strong motivation. Okay, I'm gonna read a few more messages, guys, and I would like to wrap up. As fathers and husbands, we guide, direct, provide, and protect. And for thanks, we just want a big piece of chicken. Well, that's not bad. I think you might want a little more, but that sounds more than reasonable. I know what you mean now. So, guys, I want to tell all of you who are fathers, or maybe you're a father to be, and take pride in it. Help those young kids that reaching out for you to advice, or maybe you have nephews, or whatever it is. Take pride. We need more men, strong, kind, loving, caring, and our appreciation is endless for that. Tracy is saying, I'm not a dad, but I'm trying to be as much as I can. Oh, for your lady's son. Yes, I mean, and you don't have to try too hard, because I don't know if you're living together yet. When you're gonna be living together, it's gonna develop, and it's just going to happen. Yeah, don't try to push yourself as just be a friend, because if he's 18, he's a grown person now. But connecting with him and seeing what he likes in life, and connecting through that, and just being there, having conversations, being interested in him, and not so much as a dad, because if you met him when he's 18, he's a grown-up person. So kind of being interested in him at this moment. And if it doesn't work so easily, if it doesn't go so easily, just leave him alone. Let him be his own person. And after a while, the relationship, if it was meant to be, it will become better, and it will become closer. We should not push things into people. Children are this way. When you try to push something in them, they always run away, and they don't want to accept it because you're pushing it. So let him come to you on his own terms. This is just a general thing that I'm saying. Yelena is saying reinforce anything positive he does. I met him. Well, if you met him when he was 8, then um, you probably would have built, or maybe you had built some relationship for 10 years. Um, so if you guys, if you want to share about that, you can send me an email. I think you did send me an email about the entertainment in Ukraine, but I had not made that video yet. So guys, if you want to see my videos live and watch them again, some of my videos are going to be, after the live is over, they're only going to be available on a Patreon page, because it's a long 1 hour videos, and I think if you're interested in these topics, you either will try to make to my live, or you can be in my support Patreon group. And I want to say a big huge thank you for the new members that I have in Patreon, and the old members, and it's all pretty new. I'm still working on this platform, trying to understand it. And one thing is, I will have my recorded coaching calls and kind of like into depth conversation in it, because I think it would be more valuable for these people who are into this, and it can help us to build a community when people are really learning and dedicated and want to do this kind of things. So thank you so much. I'm happy you guys enjoying the channel and the talk. um it's always good to hear from you. If you have some questions to me, or you need some services, or you're going um to Ukraine, please comment under the video. I will post some answers, or maybe I will make some videos. The video is coming on travel to Ukraine tips, because some of you guys are coming to Ukraine with me, and I want to make sure you know some basics, some preparations. Mark and Dave are on the call. Well, Dave is experienced, but Mark is going for the first time. um Okay, let's see. The monk is asking me, do you have PayPal for one time? Oh, thank you so much. Well, I'm gonna post under the video. I have my links to Patreon, my email, and you can see my PayPal link. If you feel like you want to contribute, you're welcome to do that. You're not. It's not required, but I appreciate help and support to grow this channel. And you can also do the, you can share the videos and comment and put likes, whatever version is acceptable for you, I appreciate. And all the links I just mentioned, I will post after the video is posted. I'm keeping this video because it's for the Father's Day, and I just want to wish a good day to everybody. Thank you guys so very much, and I will see you shortly. So guys, everything, I do have to go now, so please post these things from the chat in the comments, and I will see how I can help. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you soon.